Got another package in today. Oh, let's see if we can open it. Find out what it is. I'll show you guys. See what kind of quality this stuff is. Alright, there we go. This is my new tie rod set that I got off eBay for $35. Looks almost identical to the one that's on it right now, except the one that's on it is bent. So, this should be better. Help also my vibrations when I'm riding, and should help the steering wheel, and should also help the handlebars be straight. So, I'm going to try and attempt to put these on. Never have done anything like this before. Which I've probably said a million times because I've never done anything like this with a four-wheeler before because I've never owned one. So, sorry if that gets repetitive and obnoxious. Okay, so I jacked the four-wheeler up with my jack here so I can get its front tire off the ground. And I'm going to... Looks like I need to remove this cotter pin. These things are pretty on there, so... I'm going to go ahead and remove this cotter pin, take this nut off. I'm going to go ahead and remove this cotter pin and take this nut off. And that way this will be loose and kind of just fall out, I think. And then I'm going to do the same thing for over here. Take this cotter pin out, loosen this nut, and I'll be able to take the whole tie rod assembly out. And then I'll put the new one in. Put the new one in slowly. But I'm probably only going to just do this one side. That way I have an extra set if the other side bends. Because the other side is fine. It's not bent at all. And this way I have another rod if I ever need one. That was really easy and simple. So all you have to do is take these these nuts off. That's it. It was easy as pie. You just slip the cotter pin out through that hole there. Just slip that cotter pin out through that hole there, and then the nut just comes right off. I used a 14 on mine, and seemed to work perfectly. So, you can see it's pretty bent. Get some of this new hardware out. Alright, there's the new hardware. See how straight this is compared to this one? It's pretty bent. Here's the new tie rod ends. Here's the new cotter pins. I don't know what these extra nuts are for. They just came with these. I don't know if it's just to replace the nuts, but the tie rods came with nuts, so I'm just going to go ahead and use them. Okay, so I got kind of lazy and didn't really show the rest of this process. I tried to adjust the toe in, but I think I messed it up, so I'm going to go ahead and take it for a ride. I kind of rigged the back tire here, and I'm just going to go down the road and back. I'm not going to go for a long ride just to see how off it is and if it turns too bad or anything like that. So I'm just going to go ahead and take a ride real fast, see how she drives. Now hopefully the vibration's a little less with the handlebars that are crooked and are not crooked, the new handlebars, and the new Pro Taper grips. Plus this not being bent, it should be a little better. Neighbor's got his 252 stroke out, I think is what it is, or 300 Polaris, something like that. Okay, so after that ride, it shook a ton. I mean, when I got maybe above 20, the handlebars were just zigzagging back and forth like that. I could barely hang on. So the toe was way out of whack. And I could kind of tell when I was staring in front of it, this tire was way in and this tire was out. So what I did is I looked up some stuff online, and this seemed to be the easiest way. I looked up some stuff online, and this seemed to be the easiest way to figure out your toe. So you get a string, kind of level it with your axle like that, wraps around the back tires. wrap it around the front, and attach it to something. So I attached both pieces of string of mine to these jack stands. Make sure the front is pretty level with the axle. And then you take the string on the jack, and it's hard to see, but you slide the jack over this way until one side of the wire or the string hits the tire. So we want the back side to hit first, because this four-wheeler calls for an inward toe, or an in-toe, or a toe-in. I can't remember what it's called. And I tried to look, and I can't really understand the spec sheet. It says 15 plus or minus 17, so I'm guessing 15 or 17? I don't really understand. And then it says 0.7 to plus or minus 0.6. So I'm just going to try to adjust it to where I need it. And to adjust it, all you do is loosen these tightening nuts here. I don't know what, lock nuts. They lock against your tie rod. So you loosen one end and the other end, and then you can take a 10 millimeter wrench. You can take a 10 millimeter wrench. You loosen both ends of these tightening nuts, lock nuts, whatever you want to call them, and you take a 10 millimeter wrench, which is the size of my tie rod, and you spin it, and you can actually see the tire moving when you spin it, which is pretty cool. And then you take a tape measure, and then you take a tape measure and measure the distance between. So if you see, I'm tapping this jack stand until the line gets touching back here and is not right here. So then I'm going to take a tape measure and measure the distance between the line and the tire, which I shook that. It's kind of hard to do with this tape measure, but this side, if you look, it looks like it's, I don't know, whatever that is. I don't know if you can see that. But if you go to this other side, it's tighter. Sorry. It's tighter right here. So you can barely even get the tape measure through without it hooking. So I'm going to go ahead and make this side tilt it in more. So your 10 millimeter, which that's what mine is. Like I said, everyone else's might be different. And I'm going to spin it. Which way do I need to spin? Okay. I need to spin this way. Like that. And then what you need to do is readjust your jack. Make sure it's hitting correctly, so pull it away. So let me get that wrench out of the view. Pull the jack away. Then slightly bring it back until it's just touching. You want to do that on both sides. I'm going to go back on this side. Do the same thing. Pull the jack away until the string is not touching. And then lightly touching. Like that. I'm going to get my tape measure. I'm going to measure each side, and I'm going to do it until I get it where I want it. And once I get it where I want it, I'm going to go ahead and tighten those lock nut things. Once those are tight, then you should be able to, it should be good. So I'm going to go ahead and test ride it again after I do that. Okay, the nuts are locked on. I'm going to go ahead and give it another test ride and see how it feels now. This is several days later after I fixed this tie rod and rode multiple times. I adjusted the toe a couple times, but I realized that the vibration is coming from this wheel. The wheel is actually bent, and I realized it when my buddy was riding next to me, and he could see the wheel wobbling really bad. So I'm going to have a new wheel here to fix that vibration. But other than that, the ride seems a lot better. It seems to ride normal now. It doesn't really tilt into one direction or the other when you just let off the handlebars. It seems to go pretty straight, but I was just going to let you guys know that. And if you would, watch my build playlist. I'm still adding stuff to it every, time I get new things to the four-wheeler. I'm still adding stuff. So subscribe and like this video. And if you have any questions, just ask them down below in the comments. Thank you.